Ayan, 21 pa lang tayo. So, 20 pa lang kayo. Nasaan ang iba? Open ko lang yung PowerPoint ha. Magsimula tayo agad. Please someone start recording na this meeting so that they will have something to go back to na lang kung di sila atin ngayon, okay? Open ko lang ang ating PowerPoint presentation. Okay, naalala ko pala, gumawa ako ng video lecture sa beginning ng chapter 2. So, ipo-continue lang natin yon. Kung hindi mo pa napapanood, kailangan mong panoorin yon. Okay? For the next quiz, it will be the coverage. Okay? So, ipo-continue lang natin siya ngayon. Please, kapag may binibigay ako sa inyo, gawin ninyo. Pag may sinasan akong papanoorin at pag-aaralan ninyo, pag-aralan ninyo para hindi kayo nahuhuli. I will just have to ask kung saan tayo huminto dito, kung sino nakakaalala doon sa video. Are we done with cultural relativism?
Yes, ma'am.
How about 5 tenets of cultural relativism? Natapos ba natin to?
Hindi po, ma'am.
Okay, so dito tayo sa 5 tenets. Ang natapos natin yung cultural relativism. This is the concept telling us that we don't have the right to judge the practices of one group, especially if we don't belong in that group. It doesn't mean that what they are practicing are wrong. Tama ba? Yan yung cultural relativism. Raise your hand if you did get that, if you understood that. Yun yung nasa video, tama?
Yes,
all right.
ma'am.
Okay, so now let's move on to the 5 tenets of cultural relativism. Let's read here. It says here that different societies have different moral codes. This is true. In a society or in a certain place, there are things that they are practicing that others are not. So there are specific codes, moral codes na pinapaniwalaan ng isang grupo. So iba-ibang society, iba-ibang moral codes din. Yun ang tenets. When we say tenets, these are the guiding principles or yung descriptions or characteristics ng cultural relativism. So the moral code of a society determines what is right within that society. That is, if the moral code of a society says that a certain action is right, then that action is right at least within that society. So kapag sinabi ng society or grupo na kinabibilangan mo na ang gawain ito ay tama, then that is correct. At least within your group only. So yung pinapaniwalaan nyo, within your group only, hindi mo aasahan, don't expect that what you believe in are also the ones being believed by the rest of the members of groups in the society. So lahat ng grupo sa society ay iba-iba. So yan ang sinasabi ng cultural relativism. No objective standard that can be used to judge one society's code as better than another. So walang objective standard. We are talking about subjectivity here, preferences, or yung own standard nila, their own judgment to what is right and wrong. Walang objectivity. There are no moral truths that hold for all people at all times. Ayun. Hindi ko alam kung nabanggit ko na sa inyo yung opposite ng cultural relativism, yung universality natin, yung universal truth natin. Kung sa cultural relativism, subjective lang siya, maaaring ang pinapractice mo ay tama sa grupo mo, mali sa iba. Pero sa universal truth class or universalism, universality, these are the things that are accepted if not all of the people all around and across the globe or sa buong mundo, at least majority, okay? So kung hindi man lahat, majority naman, alright? So for example, bawal pumatay. That is a universal truth. Hindi lang yan accepted dito sa Pilipinas or sa grupo ninyo o sa pamilya ninyo, pero tanggap yan ng lahat ng tao sa buong mundo. Okay? So please, here in morality, we are, or here in ethics, we are studying about morality. We are shaping your ethical standards. We are shaping your etiquettes as people, as first-year students. Na kailangan dalhin ninyo to as you grow up and as you enter your own workplaces later on, lalo na sa trabaho, marami kayong may encounter na i-challenge ang morality ninyo na sa tingin ninyo or pinapagawa sa inyo, sa tingin ninyo ay mali, huwag nyo gagawin, okay? For example, ikaw ay boss, you have the power and authority to sign a paper that will give you 1,000,000 peso pero is illegal. Are you gonna do it? Okay, so that is circumstances which are going to put your morality to test or question your ethical standard or morality. Okay? So here in universalism, may mga bagay na tanggap ng lahat, hindi lang subjected sa iisang grupo. Totoo ito sa lahat ng tao. So it is arrogant for us to judge other cultures. We should always be tolerant of them. Okay? So that is why cultural relativism is not a really good theoretical practice. Kasi nga very subjective. So ang opposite ng cultural relativism ay universalism. Okay, so these 5 propositions may seem to go together, but they are independent of one another, meaning that some of them may be true even while others are false. Indeed, 2 of the propositions appear to be inconsistent with each other. The second says that right and wrong are determined by the norms of a society. The fifth says that one should always be tolerant of other cultures. Okay, so this is the conflict in cultural relativism. That is why I'm telling you that it is not right to follow the principles or the tenets of cultural relativism. It's because there are things that they follow in their particular group that could be wrong in another one. So very subjective siya, unlike universalism na kapag totoo sa'yo, dapat totoo din sa ibang tao at totoo siya at any given point of time. Okay. One very basic principle in formulating or crafting of laws, mga ganyan sa batas class ay dapat ang isang bagay ay totoo ngayon, so kahapon, ngayon, at magpakailanman. Okay? For example, bawal magnakaw. Bawal magnakaw kahapon, bawal magnakaw ngayon, bawal magnakaw in the future. So yan yung isang standard or guideline na sinusunod ng mga lawmakers natin in accordance to what we are studying now sa ethics. Okay? So what if the norm of one society favor intolerance? Ayan. So kaya very conflicting ang cultural relativism. Instead, we should all be patrons of universalism instead of cultural relativism. Okay, for example, when the Nazi army invaded Poland on September 1, 1939, thus beginning World War II, this was an intolerant action of the First Order. But what if it conformed to Nazi ideas? A cultural relativist, it seems, cannot criticize the Nazis for being intolerant if all they're doing is following their own moral code. Okay, so are you now getting it kung bakit very conflicting ang cultural relativism? Based here sa example, yung practices ng Nazi, you know what it is? Si Hitler, Adolf Hitler, kilala niyo siya? Okay, raise your hand if you know Adolf Hitler. Okay, only Aldrin, Kay, Nicole, who else? And Maricar. So only 4 of you and Michelle. Alright, so only 5 of you know Adolf Hitler. Ayan, si Adolf Hitler, yung pinaka-prominent na figure natin sa Nazi na historical event in the world. At ang dami niyang practices na ginawang na mali, na kapag ka ang isusundin natin ay universalism, then we can call it out or we can label it as something that is wrong, something that is criminal. Pero kapag kasusundin daw natin ang cultural relativism, then we don't have the right to judge the practices of Adolf Hitler during the Nazi. Kasi nga, sabi ng cultural relativism, ang mga practices na ginagawa ng isang grupo at they consider them as right, wala kang karapatan para questionin yon. You just have to tolerate the practices within that particular group or culture. Naiintindihan na kung bakit mali ang cultural relativism? Simply because it's very subjective. Hindi siya objective, okay? Wala siyang universalism, wala siyang truthfulness, hindi siya intact, hindi siya solid. Alright? Okay, give me reactions, class. This is virtual so that I know if you are understanding what I'm saying. Come on.
Yes, ma'am.
Alright. So nakukuha kung bakit mali ang cultural relativism when you find yourselves in the workplaces later on, ikaw ang boss, do not do things that you know are wrong, diba? The workplace is going to test your sense of right or wrong later on, or your morality. Okay? Given that cultural relativistic pride in their tolerance, it would be ironic if their theory actually supported the intolerance of warlike societies. However, their theory need not to do that. Ayan, di ba, very war freak ang mga Nazis natin noon following the orders of Adolf Hitler. Ayan, paulit-ulit na tayo. So kung susundin natin ang cultural relativism, o di wala tayong karapatan para i-call out or sabihin na kriminal si Adolf Hitler. Pero sa universalism, pwede natin gawin at sabihin na mali si Adolf Hitler. Okay? Okay, to properly understand, ba yan, wrong grammar naman. Sino itong okay, to properly understand, cultural relativism holds that the norms of a culture reign supreme within the bounds of the culture itself. Thus, once the German soldiers entered Poland, they became bound by the norms of Polish society, norms that obviously excluded the mass slaughter of innocent folks. When in Rome, the old saying goes, do as the Romans, cultural relativists agree. Alright, so yun yung end ng cultural relativism natin. Again, keyword for cultural relativism, very subjective. Its opposite is universalism. Alright? Okay, we now proceed to cultural differences argument. Ayan, dito na papasok dito nyo na mas lalong malalaman or ma-assess kung bakit mali ang cultural relativism. It may be wrong in a deeper and general sense, pero there are times or moments na tama ang cultural relativism sa mga mabababaw lang na bagay. For example, isang grupo ng magkakaibigan, let's say, De La China, Kalacha, Agbuya, and Valerio prefer to play Dota rather than playing Candy Crush. Sa grupo nila, yun ang norm, yun ang tama, walang karapatan si Padua, Manzon, Sanchez, and Garcia to tell them that Candy Crush is better than Dota, alright? Nakukuha. So there are moments or there are cases wherein cultural relativism can be applied pero sa mga bababaw lang ng bagay. Matter of preferences, yan, yung hindi things that are not gonna harm you or not gonna involve life or death. Unlike killing, hindi naman pwede na para kay Evangelista de la China, Kalacha, Agbuya at Valerio, tama ang pagpatay, tapos kay Padua, Manzon, Sanchez, Garcia ay mali ang pagpatay. So hindi pwede. Dapat lahat ng tao dito na nakikinig, bawal ang pagpatay. Nakukuha? So applicable lang ang cultural relativism sa matter of preferences. Okay. So eto na. Cultural relativists often employ a certain form of argument. They begin with facts about cultures and end up drawing a conclusion about morality. Thus, they invite us to accept the following reasoning. Okay, first one. The Greeks believed it was wrong to eat the dead, whereas the Colossians believed it was right to eat the dead. Therefore, eating the dead is neither objectively right nor objectively wrong. It is merely a matter of opinion, which varies from culture to culture. Okay. Or the Eskimos saw nothing wrong with infanticide, whereas Americans believe infanticide is immoral. Therefore, infanticide is neither objectively right nor objectively wrong. It is merely a matter of opinion, which varies from culture to culture. Dito sa isa, sige nga, kung naiintindihan ninyo, doon sa unang example, applicable ba ang cultural relativism? Raise your hand kung applicable ang cultural relativism. Doon sa unang example. Hindi natatalo sa amo. So, unang example, eating, what is this? Eating the dead. Okay. Akala ko pork kasi. Tama. Very good class. Very good. Ayun, tama. Yung both examples ay hindi applicable ang cultural relativism kasi dapat hindi kakainin ang patay at yung sa pangalawa naman ay hindi dapat pinaperform ang infanticide. Ay, very good ang klasiko. Okay, so does anyone know what infanticide mean?
Hindi po, ma'am. Ano po ba?
Okay, so ang infanticide, take it from the root word infant, tapos yung side, something like genocide, homicide, suicide. Sige na. From the clues I have given, what is infanticide? Raise your hand. Infanticide, infant, plus yung side, ito yung essence ng homicide, genocide, suicide. Ano ibig sabihin ng...
po, ma'am.
Okay, raise your hand if you wanna answer. Alright, Kay?
Abortion po, infanticide.
It's related to abortion. However, ang abortion ay fetus, di ba? Infant na ito eh. Oh, anyway, Kay, you look like candidate number 3 ng hindi naka-move on ng Miss UN last Friday. Did you watch? Count mo yung number 3, Kay.
Yes po, ma'am. Wala, hindi, ma'am. Mas
Who
maganda
would
yun.
agree? Marami nagsasabi sa'yo? Di ba? Tama kami. Tama assessment namin. You really do look like her. Ay, picture na ni Kay ang mag-budget. Charot. Okay, anyway, let's go back to the topic. So what is infanticide? Take it from the word infant, and then the side, take it from the essence of suicide, homicide, genocide. Come on! Epektosan ko kayo. Hihigil ako sa inyo Monday morning I might just give the answer para lang mag-proceed tayo sa discussion, pero I'm still waiting, di ba? Come on! Infant! Anong infant? Bata, di ba? Angelica, Gundayaw.
Parang pagpatay sa mga bata.
Ayan lang, ganyan lang kasimple. Pagpatay sa bata. Alright, so, anong bansa, tell me anong bansa ang nagpa-practice ng ganito? Okay, think of a country which is practicing this particular infanticide. Yes, Carla?
Ma'am, sa China po.
Alright. Ayan, so, si China, kung narinig nyo na yung policy nila dati, yung sa two children policy lang per family. Tapos, kapag pangatlong anak, it's either babayaran mo, itatax mo na lang siya in the form of tax, babayaran mo sa gobyerno. Kasi nga, di ba, overpopulated na sila doon. So, yun yung isang mechanism ng gobyerno nila para i-control yung population. So, syempre, hindi natin maiiwasan yung cases ng third pregnancy by accident, di ba? So, either ipagpapatuloy niya yung pregnancy niya, babayaran na lang niya yung bata, or abortion, pero dito nga sa infanticide, infant na eh. Ibig sabihin, pinanganak na yung bata, either the government is gonna take him or her away from the family and then kill that child. Okay? So, kung cultural relativism ang sinusunod natin, o hindi natin i-call out ang China, hindi mag-interfere ang human rights, for example. Although may tawag dito. I'm not exactly sure about the foreign policy of China, pero 'di ba may kanya-kanya tayong jurisdiction. So minsan napapractice nilang kahit na anong gusto nilang gawin within their jurisdiction. Pero nga, ayun, kinu-call out naman ng members of the United Nations. So katulad nung naganap last week, 'di ba? Dapat alam niyo yung essence ng mga yun, hindi puro pageant, hindi lang puro pagandahan. Dapat alam niyo kung ano ang behind those celebration, 'di ba? So, isa sa mga purposes ng United Nations class ay itong mga ganito, i-call out ang mga bansa na may mga maling gawain. Okay, magsasama-sama or magkakampihan ang mga bansa para ipetisyon, for example, sulatan ng isang bansa na gumagawa ng kamalian. Okay? So kapag cultural relativism o di walang karapatan ang members of the United Nations na i-call out ang China. Pero dahil may universalism tayo na concept, ayun, nako-call out natin yung mga ganitong practices. Right? Next one. These arguments are variations of one fundamental idea. They are both examples of a more general argument which says different cultures have different moral codes, therefore there is no objective truth in morality. Okay, definitely wrong. There should be objective truth in morality, diba? You should call a person who kills a person, who kills her mom, who kills her dad, or who kills her daughter as someone who is immoral, para lang kung may meron siyang psychological problem, di ba? Okay, therefore, there is no objective truth in morality. Right and wrong are only matters of opinion, and opinions vary from culture to culture. Okay, medyo paulit-ulit na tayo, pero I think it's also nice that we emphasize things para tumatak sa inyo. So, ayun nga, kung ang matter of right and wrong ay matter of opinion, o yung pag sinampal ni Gundayaw si De La Cruz, it's my opinion that sampal-sampal you is right. Diba? Nakukuha? Then we will be living in a very chaotic world. Nakuha? So magiging chaos ang buhay natin dito sa mundo kapag cultural relativism ang pinapairal natin. Alright. One. Okay, I think we will boil down to one conclusion. Huwag na natin itong i-discuss para hindi na tayo gaanong paulit-ulit. Punta na tayo sa... Ayan. Does cultural relativism tenable in ethics? No. Simply because there are objective truths that are common across cultures around the world. That's called cultural universalism. Ito na yung sinasabi ko sa inyo na opposite ng cultural relativism, cultural universalism naman tayo. What is universalism, class? In moral universalism, moral truth is the same for all people at all times, at all places. Solid ang truth sa moral universalism. Hindi siya natitinag, hindi siya basta-basta kayang tibagin at ng panahon or ng circumstances. Kasi nga, yung sinabi ko sa inyo kanina, one of the guiding principles in formulation of laws or policies ay dapat ang isang bagay ay totoo kahapon, totoo ngayon, at magpakailanman. Okay? So, bawal magnakaw kahapon, bawal magnakaw ngayon, bawal magnakaw bukas, at magpakailanman. Bawal pumatay kahapon, bawal pumatay ngayon, bawal pumatay bukas, at magpakailanman. Okay? So, sabi dito, truth is the same for all people at all times, at all places. So, bawal pumatay dito sa Pilipinas, bawal din dapat sa China, sa India, sa Hawaii, sa Hong Kong, sa Japan, and all the rest of the countries of the world. Okay? I hope universalism is now very clear to you. In contrast, moral truth is not the same for all people at all times at all places. So, moral relativism. Okay. Cultural universals tayo, despite many differences, there are some underlying similarities with cultures. Can you think of what they are? Some cultural universals we have in the field of art, in the field of bodily adornment, in the field of cooking, education, family, language, and music. Okay, point of recitation tayo. Give me an example of a cultural universal in the field of education. Okay, magbigay ka sa akin ng statement na totoo patungkol sa edukasyon na hindi lang dito sa Pilipinas, kundi pati sa ibang bansa. Kasi nga universalism. Okay, I will give an example para makapag-isip kayo. Counting starts from 1 to 10 before 11 to 20. Oh, that's a cultural universal, di ba? Ang pagbibilang in education ay nagsisimula sa 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bago 11 to 20. Tama? Okay, what else? Come on, pagganahin ang utak. Kayang-kaya yan. Okay.
Ma'am, if we have college here in the Philippines, meron din po sa ibang bansa. Around the world, meron po.
Pakiulit, if we have tertiary education here, may tertiary education din sa bansa yung sinabi mo?
Opo, ma'am.
Alright, very good. Tama. Okay, what else? Ano pa? O choose na lang from the following fields kung saan kayo comfortable. Language, music, family, cooking, bodily adornment, tapos sa art. Okay, not necessarily in education. Okay, think of a cultural universal in any of the following fields. Okay, sige. For you to understand it, I will give the example of my student from another section, which is actually wrong. Diba sabi ko sa inyo, isa sa mga technique para maintindihan ng isang bagay ay hindi lang intindihin yung properties niya, pero intindihin din kung ano yung hindi niya properties. Okay, so yung sagot niya, sabi niya, kapag nakapagtapos ka ng pag-aaral, then gaganda ang buhay mo, sabi niya. So I debunked it right away. Sabi ko, it's not a cultural universalism kasi it's more of a matter of opinion, 'di ba? Hindi siya truth. 'Di ba? Ang daming ang graduates ngayon na walang trabaho. 'Di ba? Okay, so give me truths that are solid, yung hindi natitibag, kagaya ng sinabi ko kanina. Ang pagbibilang ba ay nag-i-start from 11 to 20 before 1 to 10? Di ba 1 to 10 muna before 11 to 20? O magbigay ng mga examples na katulad sa sinabi ko. Yung hindi natitibag na katotohanan. Trixie Kyle.
Ma'am, kung dito sa ating bansa lahat ng tao may karapatan na pumasok at mag-aral, ganun din sa ibang bansa, ma'am.
Trixie Kyle, pakiulit. Sinurge ko lang yung laptop. Trixie Kyle, come again.
Ma'am, kung dito po sa ating bansa yung mga tao may karapatan na pumasok at mag-aral, ganun din po sa ibang bansa, ma'am.
Okay. Oo. Actually, education is a right naman talaga not only here in the Philippines, pero the more nga sa ibang bansa na right. Pero here in the Philippines, parang privilege ang pag-aaral, hindi karapatan, ano? Pero sa totoo or in principle, dapat ang education ay right at hindi privilege. Alright? I saw the hand of Aldrin. Yes, Aldrin?
Yung pagsasalita ng English, parang kahit sa ibang bansa meron kang mapupulot na English na salita.
Correct. Because in the first place, our universal language is English, diba? So, ang English, tama. Very good, Aldrin. Correct. Now you're getting what the universal truth is. Okay, what else? Okay, in the field of language, ang lengguwahe ng lahat ng bansa ay may ano? Ano ang elemento ng lengguwahe ng kahit na anong bansa? Give me a universal truth about language of any country. Okay, I will give you an example. Any language of the world has letters or symbols. O, di ba? Sa universal truth, walang lengguwahe sa buong mundo na hindi letra o simbolo ang ginagamit. Tama? Okay, sa universal truth, what else? Okay, last example before we proceed with our discussion. Okay, how about in art? Ang dami-daming pwedeng maging example class.
Ma'am,
Oh yes, Aldrin.
sa bawat bansa, ma'am, merong flag.
Correct. Very good. May sense of identity through their national flags. Very good. That's a universal truth. Lahat ng bansa ay may watawat, 'di ba? Simbolo ng kanilang pagkakakilanlan. Right. Next. O, 2 strikes na si Aldrin. 2 strikes talaga. 2 points. Strike is negative ano. 2 points na si Aldrin. But the others, o si Aldrin bumabawi sa recitation kasi ano, bababa ng quizzes niya. Aldrin bawi.
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm.
Mahina sa memorization.
It's alright. Memorization is the lowest form of intelligence naman. Yun lang ang minimeasure natin sa binibigay kong quizzes sa inyo. Kaya kapag may discussion tayo, doon ko nakikita ang higher order thinking skills ninyo. Mas na-appreciate ko yung nakakaintindi sa discussion ko kaysa yung nami-memorize yung concepts. Mas importante ang understanding kaysa sa remembering or memorizing. Ano? Okay, anyway, estudyante ko rin kayo sa purposive communication. I-announce ko na sa inyo. I double checked your scores. Tapos halos lahat ay may 2 points deduction kasi mali ang spelling ng accommodation nila. Double C tapos single M yung accommodation ninyo. Dapat double C, double M at 2 beses na sagot ang accommodation, cultural accommodation. Tama? Kahit yung naka-perfect natin sa SS1A, 2 sila, instead na 55, naging 53 yung score nila. Pero yung 2 perfect scores natin from Filipino 1A, perfect scores pa rin. Filipino 1A ang record holder, hindi SS1A. Okay, pero there's nothing to be proud of kasi memorization lang naman yun. you should be proud of kapag ka nagre-recite ka sa klase ko. Kasi this is higher order thinking skills. O one last recitation before I proceed with the discussion. Albert Bandong.
Ma'am, kada bansa, ma'am, may music like love song, ma'am, ganun.
Alright. Okay, Alyssa Sanchez.
Ma'am, kada bansa po pinapatupad po yung marriage po.
Aha. As union of couples, tama. Erica Manzon.
Ma'am, dito sa atin, yung sa family po, is composed of mother and father and children po. Like din po sa ibang bansa rin po. Ganun din po, ma'am.
Okay. Right, it can already be questioned kasi diba? Ang union of flowers natin hindi na lang mother and father, it could also be mother and mother, diba? And father and father. Diba, very open na tayo ngayon, LGBTQIA+ community. Delachina Daisy May.
Ma'am, bawat bansa po may batas.
Alright, very good. Michelle Patwa.
Ma'am, bawat bansa po may mga paniniwala sila.
Okay, particularly
Yung sa po, ma'am, tradition po, ma'am, tulad po sa China,
Particularly what tradition?
yung Chinese New Year, ma'am.
Okay, so if there's Chinese New Year in China, what do we have in the Philippines? And in other countries? Okay, so kapag sumasagot kayo, patunayan ninyo na ang isang bagay ay universal, you can just say that every country celebrates the New Year, ganun lang. Okay? Sino pa yung nag-recite dito? Tinatawag ko yung mga hindi pa nag-recite, ha? I'm not calling you Kay kasi okay ka naman na. Raymark Ferret.
Yung about po sa technology po, yung sa improving of technology ng iba't ibang bansa.
Right, so at least you have understood the concept of cultural universalism. What is true to one person or one country should be true to all. That is why it's called universal. Okay? All right. Assignment ninyo to list at least 5 examples under each discipline or under each category here. We have art, bodily adornment, cooking, education, family, language, and music. Itatag ko na lang sa MS Teams para may pag-turn-inan kayo. Right, let's proceed. Consequences of relativism. We could no longer say that the customs of other societies are morally inferior to our own. This is one of the main points stressed by cultural relativism. Should never condemn a society merely because it is different. This attitude seems enlightened so long as we concentrate on examples like the funerary practices of the Greeks and Colossians. However, we would also be barred from criticizing other less benign practices. For example, the Chinese government has a long history of repressing political dissent within its own borders. At any given time, thousands of political prisoners in China are doing hard labor, and in the Tiananmen Square episode of 1989, Chinese troops slaughtered hundreds, if not thousands, of peaceful protesters. Cultural relativism would preclude us from saying that the Chinese government's policies of oppression are wrong. We cannot even say that a society that respects free speech is better than Chinese society, for that would also imply a universal standard of comparison. The failure to condemn these practices does not seem enlightened. On the contrary, political oppression seems wrong wherever it occurs. Nevertheless, if we accept cultural relativism, we have to regard such practices as immune from criticism. Bottom line, there are things we can apply cultural relativism to, and these are the things that are only testing or matter of preferences, a matter of opinion. Pero pagdating sa life and death, katulad ng pagpatay or pagnanakaw, ang sinusunod dapat natin ay cultural universalism at hindi cultural relativism. For example dito, yung free speech. Free speech ay savored or enjoyed by the Filipino people, pero nahadlangan na nga diba, na ang dami nang napapatay. Ang as recent event, kung nakita niyo yun sa Facebook, teacher na cartoonist, tapos ang tema ng cartoons niya ay government ills, yung ill doings ng present government natin. So ang mga nakita kong cartoons niya ay yung sa 1.3 billion ba yun o 13 billion na confidential fund. So kinartoon niya yun, drawing niya yun, tapos pinost niya. Tapos pagkaraan ng ilang linggo lang, ayun, namatay siya kahapon, pinaril ng hindi pa nakikilalang gunman. Ayan, so yung free speech dito sa Pilipinas ay malapit nang mawala. Sana lumaban yung mga leaders natin para hindi mawala sa atin ang free speech. Hindi tayo matulad sa China na very controlled ang community doon, very controlled ang citizens nila doon, walang kalayaan ang isang Chinese citizen na ipahayag yung kanyang saloobin. Kasi kapag ginawa niya, makukulong agad or worse, papatayin agad. Okay? So, yung doon sa free speech na tinutukoy dito, maaring cultural relativism yun kasi rerespeto natin ang China kung para sa kanila within their jurisdiction, form of disciplining their citizens, yung pag-control sa kanilang free speech. Okay, that is part of cultural relativism. Pero yung oppression naman, political oppression will be wrong not only to the Philippines but to all other countries in the world. Okay. Okay, we could no longer criticize the code of our own society. Okay, the idea of moral progress is called into doubt. Ayan. Kasi nga, very boxed na or masyado nang nakulong. Kaya walang progress. Sa cultural relativism, kung ano ang pinapaniwalaan, yun lang. Kaya walang progress. Progress is called into doubt. These three consequences of cultural relativism have led many people to reject it. Slavery, we want to say, is wrong wherever it occurs, and one's own society can make fundamental moral progress. Because cultural relativism implies that these judgments make no sense, it cannot be right. Okay, slavery, this is rampant in Africa, tama. Africans or the Black Americans, Black people were enslaved by the whites, tama? Tapos hindi lang sila enslaved, pero marginalized din sila. Meron tayong apartheid system na tinatawag AP. Sige, type ko sa chat box natin para may trivia tayo for today. APARTHEID, ang pronunciation niya ay apartheid. That is a system in Africa noong unang panahon or in America din kung saan walang karapatan ang mga blacks. Okay, to the point na sa bus, for example, wala silang karapatan na umupo. Sila ay mga nakatayo dahil ang mga upuan ay para lamang sa mga puti, sa mga Amerikano, di ba? Punyamas sa sistema. Buti na lang wala na yun sa ganitong panahon because we have already progressed. Dahil ang sistemang yan, sasabihin sa iyo na kapag umupo yung African natin or yung Black American natin doon sa bus, doon sa upuan, marurumihan daw yung upuan. So dirty na, unholy na, diba? Okay, so hindi sila umuupo. Ano pa, kaysa bench, kahit na maluwang pa, hindi mo pwedeng tabihan yung Amerikano. Okay, so that is apartheid system, very marginalized, very oppressed ang Africans natin or Black Americans natin noong unang panahon. Slavery, they were also enslaved, marginalized, oppressed, and all the negative words that you can think of naranasan ng mga Africans ang mga yan. I think they have suffered the worst compared sa naranasan ng mga Pilipino during the Spanish regime. Syempre, hindi ko dina-downplay ang mga sufferings ng mga Pinoy noong unang panahon. Pero para sa akin, matter of opinion, worst ang naranasan ng mga Black Americans o Africans natin noong unang panahon. Great, they were enslaved, they were marginalized, oppressed, binenta. Yung history ng braid nila sa buhok. Diba, ang mga Africans ay laging naka-braid. Raise your hand if you're familiar with the hairstyle ng mga Africans. Diba laging nakatirintas? Nakikita nyo yung mga nakasabay nyo sa jeep. O hindi natin sure kung Africans mga yun, pero most of them naman. Ayan. So, ang history niyan, kaya sila nagbe-braid para may pagsiksikan sila ng mga butil ng palay. Okay, in history, I discussed, I taught readings in Philippine history last time, ang kwento niyan, kaya ganun ang hairstyle nila para meron silang maipuslit na mga butil ng palay para meron silang iluto. Kasi nga, very oppressed sila, marginalized, hindi binibigyan ng pagkain or hindi tinatrato ng tama. So, kailangan nilang gumawa ng paraan para sila ay mabuhay. Okay, so doon nila isinisingit sa kanilang buhok yung mga butil ng palay, tapos i-unbraid na nila or i-unentangle na nila yung buhok nila pagka nasa isang tagong lugar na sila, tapos yan, fall off na yung mga palay na iluluto nila. Okay? It sounds funny, pero that's how, di ba, difficult, tapos nakakalumo, karimari-marim yung kanilang naranasan. Right? Filipino understanding of moral behavior. This is quite a different topic na from what we have discussed this morning. So, sa susunod na ito, class ha, beware lang na third week na ang midterm exam ninyo, dahil pa natin i-discuss ethics, sa purposive communication tayo nagpo-focus, bigay na bigay tayo sa purposive com sa ethics na pag-iwanan. So, I'll be doing lots of video lectures in ethics para makahabol tayo. Nasa sa inyo na yan kung aaralin nyo o hindi. O, kung gusto nyo pumasa, o di aralin nyo. Kung ayaw nyo pumasa, that's your problem. Okay? So I will just be sending the video lectures in our GC. Do your part as students to study them para makahabol tayo sa discussion natin sa ethics. Okay? It's already 8:57. Last 3 minutes will be for my announcement. Do your assignment. Itatag ko kayo sa MS Teams. Aside from that, sa ethics. Ayun, yung video lecture, these are the things that you will have to look forward to. Yung video lectures lang muna. Quiz natin sa face-to-face pa rin, chapter 2 naman. So, tatapusin natin yung chapter 2 this week. May it be through virtual meeting or yung video lecture natin. Okay? Right. So, raise your hand if you've learned a thing or two from today's discussion. Gawin ko na yung assignment ninyo. Tag ko na. No problem. Just do your assignment, ha? Teka. Assignment. Cultural Universalism.
Ma'am, may tanong po ako, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, dun sa midterm exam, ma'am, ma'am, kayo po yung mga gumawa dun, ma'am, sa midterm
Hindi
po.
nga hindi. Pero good news naman na ang reference na ginamit ko ay galing mismo sa university. Isa kami ng ginagamit. May GC kami na mga nagtuturo ng ethics. Doon pinasa yung syllabus and the materials. Doon yung mga modules natin, mga study guides natin. Pinasa din doon. So, I'm sure na pareho yung content ng tinuturo ko sa tinuturo nila. Kung pinag-aaralan mo yung mga binibigay ko, I'm sure papasa ka sa midterm exam.
Yes,
Ano yun?
ma'am.
Departmental. Okay. Pusin ko lang ito before I let you go, ha? Teka lang, give examples. Test 5. Okay, gawin nyo to ngayon, ha? Sige, bukas pa ang deadline. Students only. Assign. Ayan, nakita na yung na-assign ko sa MS Teams. Diyan nyo iti-turn in yung assignment ninyo, okay? Someone speak and then I let you go. Nakita na?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Goodbye, class. Ano lang ha. Magbe-video lecture ako kasi 45 minutes lang tayo nag-meet ngayong araw. Tulay. Tapusin natin ang hanggang chapter 4 or 5 sa ethics. Tapos chapter 2 pa lang tayo. Tapos third week na yung exam. Bala kayong maghabol ha. Pigain ang mga utak. Pag-aralan ang mga video lectures. Bye class. Have a good day.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you po.